If Nigeria is to fulfill its duty to its people, I know, and the rest of Africa, we must create jobs and the belief in a better future for our people. We are pushing for that. To foster economic growth and investors' confidence in Nigeria, I removed the costly and corrupt fuel subsidy while also discarding a noxious exchange rate system in my first few days in office. Other growth and job-oriented firms are in the wings. I'm mindful of the transient hardship that reform can cause. However, it is necessary to go through this phase in order to establish a foundation for durable growth and investment to build the economy our people deserve. We welcome partnerships with those who not mind seeing Nigeria and Africa assume larger roles in the global community. The question is not whether Nigeria is open for business. The question is how much of the world is truly open to doing business with Nigeria, and how African is an equal, mutually beneficial manner. Direct investment in critical industries, opening airports to a wider range and larger quantity of African exports, and meaningful debt relief are important aspects of the cooperation we seek.
On the show with me today is the Director General of the Nigerian Employers Consultative Association, Mr. Adewale Oyerinde. He joins me from Abuja. Good afternoon and thank you so much. It's good to see you, DG NECA.
Good afternoon and thank you for having us again, too.
Yes, well, let's start with international cooperation. I seem to be very interested in this. We see the president being very firm with regards to Nigeria being open for business and even worried about those that are wanting to do business with us is what the president is concerned about now. The question of we being open for business, he says, is not the issue. Can you take us through what you make of this speech, how it affects the economy, how it affects businesses, and of course, intra-Africa? It's even away from intra-Africa now. It's like world global trade. How does it come to you, Mr. Oyerinde?
I think for us, it's a good signal, a good thing that these events are happening. The United Nations General Assembly, the B2B business engagement in India. It's good that they're happening at this time, and it's also more gladdening that the government, the president, is maximizing the opportunities that these forums that they provide. There's no better place for you to sell your country, to sell your programs, to request participation of the global business community in the development of your country than in this kind of forum, the UNGA. So we commend the president for an incisive and definitive statement. He did not only speak for Nigeria as Nigerian leader, he also spoke eloquently as the leader of West Africa and also a key player in the African continent. 4 key issues for us. The president mentioned the issue of terrorist financing, which is a very important issue that the world must focus on. He mentioned the issue of debt relief, which is also very fundamental, with humongous debt hanging over our head. I wonder if the creditors will not ask, what have we done with the money that was given? We also need to justify reasons why debt relief should be given, but good that he mentioned it. If they give us, if we can negotiate something out of it, it will help us to reduce the pressure. Nigeria ready for the world. We also think Nigeria is ready. With the massive investment that can come from the global economy to the country, we believe Nigeria is ready. The environment is open, but we need to deal with the contradictions, which is very fundamental. And that is why we won't agree totally with the president, with His Excellency, when he said ease of doing business should not be, it's not an hindrance to invest in Nigeria. But that can be a major hindrance, a very big hindrance to an investor investing in a country like ours. We need to deal with those contradictions, regulatory insensitivity, legislative challenges. Those are key issues that we need to deal with. If we don't deal with them, the investors will come, will face the frustration that businesses currently faces, and then before you know it, like we've experienced the last few years, you see them divesting and going back to their country, which is not a good testimony for us.
Indeed, a good point there. Well noted. Direct investment in critical industries, opening ports for wider range and larger quantities of African exports surely is the way to go. Are we ready to take part in this market?
Well, we are ready. Even if you are not ready, readiness will be foisted on you. Because if you are not ready, then you probably be left behind. And if you look at our neighbors, we have Ghana, we have Benin, we have South Africa is also in hunger. We have Kenya is also in hunger. Most of the key players in the African economy are also in Kenya. And everybody is trying to scoop from the same pot. Everybody is trying to scoop investment. Everybody is trying to convince the global economy powerhouses that their country is ready, their country is open, and there is opportunities for them to come and invest. So it's not a matter of whether you are ready or not. We have to make ourselves ready. And that's why we commend the president, and we also state, emphatically that the president is in the US. We should not lose sight of what is happening at the micro level, even at the macro level. As I yesterday, it's quite unfortunate. We had an engagement yesterday, press conference yesterday, to express organized businesses' concern on the incessant invitation of organized businesses by the National Assembly. Different house committees, ad hoc committees inviting businesses for one investigative hearing or the other. When is appeal court have said emphatically that they don't have the powers to do that. The Constitution doesn't give them the right to do that. So what are we communicating to the global community? In one space, the president is appealing to the world to come and invest. In another breath, we have many ad hoc committees of National Assembly also flagrantly flouting the law. And so who is that investor that will gladly or confidently say, I want to come and invest in that environment? So while the president is doing all he can to bring in investors, it is very important that all arms of government, all agencies, all ministries, all parastatals, even the judiciary, that we all work in line with these aspirations for us to drive our country out of the woods.
Another topical one there. Let's move to talk about job creation, reforms that would help create jobs. The president talked about removal of subsidy and, of course, the exchange rate system, which he agrees that is telling on Nigerians now. But he's saying that all of the initiatives to address this fallout are already in the wings. How well are you monitoring all of this? How are people reacting at the moment now? Business people, I mean, in particular, with regards to the exchange rate, which is still above 900 naira. Price of PMS, which of course must have affected bottom line of those that would actually use that to run their day-to-day businesses. That has definitely changed, looking at what the price at which it sells at the moment. So what are business people saying with regards to this?
Well, as the president said, he used the analogy of a pregnant woman that during the period of childbirth, there will be serious pain. I think we are almost at the height of that pain now, and we just hope quickly that the child will come out healthy. Currently, doing business is becoming much more challenging. Buying forex is becoming extremely difficult. And when you get forex at that rate, the direct consequences will be increase in cost of production. which will also affect the prices of goods and services. And when income is not increasing, inflation is also eating into disposable income of workers and households. So if income is not increasing and the cost of goods and services is increasing, it also has consequences for the poverty level. So we hope that the fruits of this many wonderful macroeconomic policy, fiscal and monetary policy efforts that have been put in place will start to yield fruit. But we hope they yield fruit as quickly as possible, so that those that they were meant to keep alive, they don't die before the sucker comes.
Being competitive is very important if we want to improve exports, because what we need to put on the shelf must be able to compete with our peers either across the continent or globally. So I'm looking at the issues of standards now. How well would you measure up with what Nigeria is doing at the moment? We're talking made in Nigeria, but sometimes we prefer to buy foreign things because some would say it really doesn't meet up. But in some cases, Nigerians are doing their best. Are we getting to that point where our goods will stand on the same shelf like international peers will do, so that we can really get competitive? Pricing is also an issue. DG, how does all of these issues come to you?
First is, for us to really get out of these many challenges, we don't have option but to go back to production. Our manufacturing sector must work. Our textile sector, we must get it to work. We must get every sector back into productive level. Now, it's good that the president mentioned the issue of infrastructure during the speech and in his appeal to the international community. For the cost of production to come down significantly, you need quality infrastructure. Infrastructure, not only infrastructure as per roads, as per rail, you also need infrastructure within the context of standardization. Infrastructure that will help you to aid standardization. I want to commend what Nigeria Export Promotion Council is doing in order to encouraging exporters to standardize their goods. There's no other way for us, because if you get your standardization right and you can export and export well, it's another area, another means for you to generate forex, which will also ameliorate the current challenges that we have as regards issue of forex. So certain things are fundamental, and one of them, as you said, is that we must produce. And not only produce for local consumption, we must produce in such a way that our goods and services can be exported competitively, so that we can also maximize the benefits of the African Continental Free Trade Agreement, as it were. There are certain agencies of government, certain organizations that are also focused, like Standard Organization of Nigeria and many others, whose focus is also to aid standardization. I think what we need to do is to also build the capacity of those agencies for them to fulfill their objective and fulfill the main reason why they were created. But absolutely, we need to standardize our goods, and we need to produce for local consumption, and we need to also export. Suffice to say that you don't export what cannot be consumed locally. And so they said the charity begins at home. True. That's a popular question. All of us, you yourself, I can see you wearing a suit and a tie, Tolu. All of us locally, we must start wearing made in Nigeria prints.
It was sold in Nigeria, but I don't know if the material was bought here. But it was made here.
That suit can be done with Ankara. It can be done with Adre fabrics. So the Federal Executive Council meeting, all ministers must wear made in Nigeria. Our secondary schools, our primary schools, their uniforms must be made in Nigeria prints. We must be proud of our made in Nigerian products. If we are not proud of it, then how are you going to export?
Oh, God. I wish we could have Mr. Inde to wrap up this conversation. Really getting very interesting. Oh, I have you there. Can you hear me? Let's let's wrap up with issues around climate change, which of course you agree that is also very important. But everyone is trying to watch before they move with regards to this. What do you think, or where do you think Nigeria stands with regards to adopting what has to do with climate change at this time, which of course is a reality?
We may run away from it, but the reality is climate change is an issue that has come to stay. It's an issue that the world is already taking very seriously. Fortunately, fortunately or unfortunately for Africa, we are still struggling with while others are moving into renewable energy and such like. We are still hooked up with oil. We are still hooked up with petrol. But we can't run away with conversation around climate change. And for us also, I remember the former vice president mentioned the issue of negotiating your adoption of the core principles of climate change for debt relief. And I think yesterday or this morning, there was also a conversation on CNN about negotiating about climate change for debt relief. That if countries can actually adopt the core principles of climate change, and they can use that as a trade-off for key creditors to support them with some level of debt relief. Those conversations are the things that we can have, but we can't really run away from the conversations around climate change. You can see the issue of the flood, flood everywhere. I saw a picture of a major issue in Libya, also happening in Spain. Flood, high-level flood, flash floods everywhere. And we've seen it also in our country, Nigeria. So we cannot close our eyes to the reality and the risk that our non-participation or our treating those conversations with penal neglect, what it can cost us. So it's a conversation we need to start so that we are not left behind in the benefits of all those conversations.
I must thank you so much, Mr. Adewale Oyeri, the Director General, Nigerian Employers Consultative Association, for your time on the program, making sense of this topic. We appreciate your time.
Thank you for having us.